Hi everybody, this is Lynda Schueler. I'm the Executive Director of Housing Forward. We thought we'd get this video out to you as a real-time update as to what's happening here at Housing Forward and how we are responding to COVID-19 as it relates to the individuals that we serve who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. So I'm going to run through a few quick things, giving you an update and timeline as to what has happened over the last 2 weeks. Very important thank yous, a call to action and what the next steps are, and then really our long-term plans here at the agency. So we have been working to get updates out to volunteers, but again, we thought that this might be a quicker way to get information out to you all directly, so you have an understanding of what's happening here at the agency. So we decided to convert our rotating system of shelter to a centralized site, and that was roughly 12 days ago. And Oak Park Temple in Oak Park was gracious enough to let us use their space there. And we were at the height of our capacity. We were sheltering 64 individuals there on 2 levels. We had volunteers that were rotating in. We had food providers in place. And then last Sunday, we made the decision to move the centralized shelter from Oak Park Temple to converting that into individual temporary housing accommodations for our clients. And we did that in a period of 12 hours earlier this week on Sunday. And we're able to secure, again, I think it was about 64 people that we relocated to individual accommodations. It's a combination of motels within our service area, a few apartments that became available to us, and we made some room over at Sojourner House, one of our temporary interim housing locations that we have in Oak Park. So this week we have been focusing our attention on getting caterers in place. So all of our clients at the various locations have 3 meals a day. We have deployed our staff, some of whom are working remotely and have been in contact with clients, again, in the various locations, making sure that we have a complete contact list, either by email, or cell phones, so we can get in contact with all of our clients, and making sure that they are staying safe, that they are not feeling isolated in any way from the agency, and staying in regular contact with them. So big shout out again to Oak Park Temple, as well as to the Village of Oak Park, who has just been a tremendous partner with us. Mike Charlie, who's the Director of Public Health for Oak Park, extremely responsive, Kara Pavlicek, Tammy Grossman at the Village of Oak Park. Nothing but tremendous thank yous to them for helping us to respond to our immediate needs and to help us orchestrate funding and a very quick response system to make sure that our employees, our volunteers, and our clients are safe. So that's what's happened with the folks that were in the shelter. We continue to provide support to the roughly 160 individuals that we have in scattered site locations in housing, but many of those folks are also sheltering in place, if you will, and our staff are working to make sure that those clients are also safe. We serve many families with children, and we want to make sure everybody is safe, getting their needs met, and making sure that if they are not able to leave their home to stock up on supplies, that our staff are able to repurpose all of the supplies and tremendous donations that have come through and get those deployed out to the clients in housing. We continue to keep our prevention activities. We have a walk-in center in Oak Park. Our staff are there, but they are only taking phone calls. They will be on site on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. We're in the process of trying to set up a drop box so people who are applying for any type of assistance, we make sure we get the paperwork to you and then you can drop it off in that drop box. More to come on that, but we are, while we continue to do our best to provide and maintain our level of services, just a reminder that staff, some of whom are working remotely, and the challenge of communication with clients, we continue to smooth out all of those issues. We have been coordinating, as I mentioned, with the Village of Oak Park, Cook County, Department of Public Health. We have been on numerous conference calls, as I'm sure you can imagine, over the week, advocating for funding, both at a regional level as well as a statewide level. Many thank yous. You can see behind me, these are just a sampling of the supplies that have come in. As quickly as they come in, we are sending them back out again to the clients that are in the scattered site locations as well as to those in housing. We want to thank all of our funders that have come to our aid. This is, of course, these are extraordinary times. We did not budget for this. We are estimating that this is costing about $55,000 to $60,000 just for the first 14 days of the accommodations where our clients are at. So we need to make sure that the funding continues, because we know that this is going to last at least up to 30 days, if not longer. We've been able to raise about $19,000 online so far. That is really the front end support that we are using to help pay for some of the catering and the individual accommodations, because public funding has not come through yet. The federal government has approved as of today the $2 trillion, but we're being told that it's going to take about 30 days for that funding to hit the streets. So we're going to need to continue to make an appeal to all of our supporters and to our donors that your support right now financially is really 100% of that is going to be used to make sure that our clients remain safe in those accommodations. Restaurants have stepped up to the plate, just to name a few. Firehouse Subs in North Lake, Cucina Paradiso in Oak Park, Angie's Pantry, we're using caterers, Bellaroo and New Rose Catering in Oak Park. The township is helping us out with the delivery of lunches for our seniors that are out there. In terms of next steps and a call to action, we do have reduced hours here at our Maywood office, which is where I am at right now. We just have a handful of staff that are here answering the door and phone calls and fielding those calls to the appropriate staff. Our daytime support center is closed right now because we just don't have the capacity to maintain that level of service at this point. We are working on a process to be able to identify additional individual accommodations for those who are newly homeless. We are fielding calls, we are getting calls from hospitals, and at this point we've been holding steady at a census of about 64, 65 people, and don't have the means today to be able to accept newly homeless individuals. So we are going to start screening those calls and adding them to a log, which we will then prioritize based on need and homeless status, and working through that list to figure out how we can best support those individuals, because we don't want anybody sleeping on the streets. As I mentioned, staff are working remotely. There's just a handful here, both at our walk-in center in Oak Park and here in Maywood. Please be patient with us as we work to return emails and again, field phone calls and what have you. Best way to reach us probably is by email, but it may not be an immediate turnaround in responding. We are working to gather all of the volunteer opportunities. We will be getting a Sign Up Genius in order. after we identify hopefully a complete list of where we can continue to use volunteers and get people plugged in. Our next step is to work to try to identify housing for people. We do not want to take those 64, 65 individuals who are in those individual accommodations and to re-traumatize them by placing them back into a shelter setting. So that's going to be a big lift for the agency, getting all of those folks housed. We have depleted all of our house-to-home kits. We have an attic upstairs here in Maywood at our office, and there are no house-to-home kits currently for us to be able to set somebody up into an individual apartment. So that's going to be kind of the next thing that we post where our needs are. So we've got enough toilet paper and snacks at this point, but we're going to be converting our Amazon Smile and our Target registry to allowing people to give in a new way, and that's helping us with those house-to-home kits. So stay tuned for that. You'll be seeing a posting up on our website. We have a header up on our website, housingforward.org, where we are posting updates, and we'll be able to provide a link to what's included in a house-to-home kits. Long-term plans, we're working with our board to figure out, again, how long do we continue to keep people. We know that it's going to be at least 30 days in these individual accommodations, but then what happens after that, right? Again, not putting people back into a shelter setting, but how do we, in fact, work to end homelessness and get people into their own independent living, primarily through apartments. I think that's it. That is update from Housing Forward. Again, if you can donate online, that would be great. If you can help us out with a house-to-home kit, if you want to volunteer, all of that information will be posted up on our website in the coming week. Thanks, everybody. Be safe.